Don't record me yet. I want to say a few things before you record.
Too late. Okay. Let's make a
Okay,
little
here we
l'chaim.
go. Come on. You guys couldn't afford a real MC. Admit it. Yossi Jacobson was not available tonight. What's wrong?
Welcome, one and all, to Chabad of South Broward headquarters 39th annual dinner. L'chaim, l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Melech she'hakolim dvarim. We'd like to call upon Harav Abba Perlmutter, a close friend of the family of Chabad of South Broward, a close friend of the Tenenhouse family, a colleague and dear friend of Rabbi Tenenhouse since his childhood. Rabbi Abba Perlmutter serves as the Shliach Rashi of the West Coast, including the Shul by the shore. Rabbi Abba Perlmutter, please join us as the master of ceremonies.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Morty. It was a great honor to be introduced by you, Rabbi Tenenhouse, and all the other esteemed guests that we have here this evening. Welcome, as Morty said, to the 39th dinner. I think, right? Is that it? Or you want to change the number tonight? Okay, 39th dinner tonight of Chabad of South Broward. And it's going to be a fabulous evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am here, Rabbi Abba Perlmutter, sitting in his bunker in Long Beach, California, coming to you through a miracle of technology. And all those people on Facebook, this is where I live these days. I used to actually have services with living people, but now I only have Facebook friends. So welcome from around the world and those that are joining us on Zoom. Normally, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest, this dinner would have been being held in a fabulous ballroom with chandeliers and candles and tables that were set and a delicious dinner. Okay. Let's all admit we don't miss the dinner. Can y'all admit that? When nobody is saying, please, Rabbi Tenenhouse, make the dinner. No one's missing the chicken, I promise. That's for sure. But my friend Rabbi Tenenhouse has been known to make 38 dinners fabulous with hundreds of people there on boats, in hotels, in places where no one else could get into. Rabbi Tenenhouse has pulled off those dinners. Unfortunately, we live in unprecedented times today, and we have to come to you through Zoom and through Facebook. But that does not in any way, shape, or form diminish our enthusiasm this evening, because tonight is going to be a night of simcha and bitachon and faith, because this organization, Chabad of South Broward, that was started by my ex-friend, because he couldn't find a real MC, so he had to bother me here in California. Okay, this evening tonight is a celebration of an organization that has put itself front and center during this crisis, ladies and gentlemen. We all know what happened 6 months ago. In March, our businesses ended. For all intents and purposes, whatever Chabad was doing, having classes and shuls and everything else, gone. In one day, we were sitting alone, having to talk to our spouses. I didn't even know that my wife had a brother. I found out recently. I'm married 40 years, and I found out that my wife actually has a brother and a sister. Had to talk to her, and was over. So many people fell into a great depression. What am I going to do? But not my friend. My friend immediately knew how to take advantage of the situation. He said that Chabad of South Broward, which has been a leading organization in South Florida, among hundreds of Jewish organizations. South Florida is not an unknown Jewish place, but Chabad of South Broward stands apart from everybody. And what he did was, he said, I know that people are in crisis, literally in crisis, whether it's families with no food, whether it's Holocaust survivors that are stuck in their apartment, and immediately gathered his staff, because he is the leader of 40 or 50 different organizations. I'm not sure. You have to look at, let me look at the list. How many organizations does he run? I think 41 organizations. Immediately called his staff in and said, gentlemen and ladies, we have to do what we have to do as shluchim of the Rebbe. And Chabad of South Broward became the leading center of a place where people knew they can turn to in this time of tremendous crisis. How many people have that kind of foresight, ladies and gentlemen? Most people were laying in a corner in a fetal position crying that their business is over, but not Rabbi Tenenhouse. He's a very creative guy. He's always been a creative guy, and he continues to be a creative guy. And when we decided that we're going to do this, who does a dinner on Zoom? No one. It's counterintuitive. You can't do a dinner on Zoom. But not Rabbi Tenenhaus, and here he is, a dinner on Zoom and on Facebook. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy. But I don't only want you to enjoy. We have a beautiful program. We have got some Tillim. We have a Rebbe's letter. We have an unbelievable honoree this evening that you're going to meet, who has done extraordinary work. And we have the famous, world-renowned, what's his name? What's the guy's name? Singer. Oh, Benny King. Is it Benny King? No. Benny himself is going to be singing for us tonight. We're going to hear from another rabbi there that works for Chabad of South Broward. His name escapes me right now. Something like White, Schwartz, Rabbi Schwartz is going to be speaking this evening. So we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful program this evening. But this is what I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, from the bottom of my heart. This is a fundraiser. So as you see at the bottom, you see there's a word called chat. I hope that they did this, because on the word, if you can go to chat, Morty, is it up and running? The chat? If they go to chat, is there a link? Yes, Rabbi Morty's on top of his game for once. Thank you. Okay, so here we go. If you go to chat, click on it. There's a link to donate money. Please, this is not inexpensive. When you are helping families in dire need, literally for the basics, we're talking about food, we're talking about shelter, we're talking about people who's lost their jobs, orphans, Holocaust survivors. We need your help tonight. So we will entertain you. We try to do it in a fashion that will not bore you. But the bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, that we need your help. So I'm asking you, from my dear friend, from the bottom of my heart, to please open up your wallets. It's before Rosh Hashanah. And we all know what Chassidus says about tzedakah, how great tzedakah is and what tzedakah can do. So please, 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 please donate generously. The needs are great, and you can help us out this evening. So please go to that chat and see the link to Chabad of South Broward, and please take your credit card out right now. It's not the same number as the Zoom. No. I know you're going to put in the ID number, the Zoom number. I know this. Put in your credit card number and do as much as you possibly can, and then some more. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a short little time, but at this time, I'd like to hand it off to another dear friend of mine, of course, a member of the Tenenhaus family, because nepotism is alive and well in Chabad of South Broward. It doesn't matter. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, we knocked me out, but we put up the Tillim. Okay, that's good. Okay, fine. All right. Anyways, to say 2 chapters of Tillim, and ladies and gentlemen, you know how precious the words of Tillim are, and especially right now with Rabbi Yossi Leibovich, the principal and the director of Chai Edel Center, a man that I've known since he was born. As a matter of fact, I just looked through my wedding album. He was a little kid, and he was in more pictures than my father. So that's Rabbi Leibovich for you. So nonetheless, I pass it over. Rabbi Yossi Leibovich, please take away and say Tillim.
Ashrei simimei dorech ha'holchim b'seiras Adonai Ashrei noitzei eidosav v'chalei v'yidreshuhu Af lo yif'alu avla b'drachav halachu Ata tzivisa fikudecha lishmor me'od Achala yikainu dracha lishmor chukecha Oz lo eivosh b'habiti al kol mitzvosecha Oitcha b'yosher leva v'lamdi mishpei tzidkecha Es chukecha eshmer al tazveini ad me'od. That was the beginning of the Rebbe's kapitel, Kuf Yutes. And now, for everybody who needs a Yeshua, we'll say kapitel Chaf. Lam natzei achmizmer leDavid, yan chadinei b'yem tzara, yisagev chashem elahei Yaakov, yishlach ezecha mikodesh, mitzion yisadeka, yiskar kol minchaisecha, ve'los chaydash nesela, yiten lecha chilvavecha, v'chalatzascha yimalei, Nirana b'shua secha v'shem leinu nidgail Yimalei Adonai kol mishalei secha Ato yadati keishi Adonai neshichai Yaneu mishmei kodshe b'gvareis yeshi yaminai Eile v'recha v'eile v'asusim V'anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu naskir Heima karavin afalu V'anachnu kamnu v'anisaydad Adonai Hoshia Amelech Yaneinu v'yom kareinu.
Shekayach Rabbi Leibovich, thank you so very much. Thank you. Moving along with the program right now, we have a very special presentation. Rabbi Tenenhaus always was honored by getting a letter from the Rebbe when he did a dinner. There's a special story behind this letter. Maybe he'll share it with us this evening. But we read this letter at every dinner that Chabad of South Broward does. And tonight we have a very, there's the letter. Thank you so much. We have a very special honored guest, Rabbi Mendy Tenenhaus, who is the rabbi and the spiritual director of Chabad of Northwest Hollywood. Is that where it is?
Rabbi Levi.
Northwest?
Rabbi Levi.
Rabbi Levi. Sorry, Rabbi Levi Tenenhaus is not the director of North. I don't want to cause any problems. He's the youngest son. He's the one that, yeah, okay, forget about it. We're not going to mention exactly everything. He's a Dolphins fan, enough said about that. But Rabbi Levi is a man that has the energy of 20 different people. If you took 20 people and put Levi against them, I'm betting on Levi. He runs so many different organizations, and he's one of the richest guys in South Broward, which is the greatest. I love this kid. I know him since he was born, and my love for him grows every year. So here he is, without further ado, my dear friend, a man that I slept in the same room with when at his bar mitzvah, and I forheard him his mimer. Beautiful, none other than Rabbi Levi Tenenhaus. Levi, take it away, sir.
By the grace of God, 13th of Shvat, 5750 Brooklyn, New York, to all participants in the 9th annual dinner of Congregation Levi Yitzchak Lubavitch, Chandler, Florida. Before I continue, if everybody could please rise. All right. Greetings and blessings. I was pleased to be informed on the forthcoming event taking place on the 16th of Shvat, 5750. I extend prayerful wishes to all participants. It is highly significant that this event is taking place in the month of Shvat, this being Shnas Arbaim, the 40th year of the passing of my saintly predecessor, my father-in-law, the Rebbe. As mentioned on previous occasions, the 40th year is a highly significant milestone and relates to all who follow in the footsteps and teachings of the Rebbe, spreading Yiddishkeit Torah mitzvahs with Chassidic light and warmth. Moreover, the current year, Tavshanum, which has been designated as a year of Nis and miracles, adds a further meaning to the message related to the event. In Lashon HaKodesh, the word Nes, miracle, also means a flagpole or banner, which is used as an effective means of rallying people together for a common purpose. Of course, the common purpose of all Jews is to make this world a fitting dwelling place for Hashem, in our heart, in our mind, in our home, in our community, and in the world at large. With the above in mind, I'm confident that each and all the participants will take the fullest advantage of the enormous opportunities that you have to expand and intensify your ongoing activities and programs of spreading and strengthening Torah and Yiddishkeit in your area, with prayerful wishes for Hatzlacha on all above, and with esteem and blessing, the Rebbe's signature.
Thank you, Rabbi Levi. We wish you much success in your further endeavors. Everything. We love to see you grow and be successful. Thanks, Levi. Now it is my great honor to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, a couple that doesn't need any introduction here this evening, because the whole evening is based upon the work. 40 years ago, the Rebbe sent out to South Florida a young couple by the name of Rabbi Raphael and Goldie Tenenhaus. I've known both of them. Goldie and Raphael are both from Montreal. I grew up in Montreal. They're close friends of mine. Rabbi Tenenhaus and myself have gone to school together since we're 5 years old. It would take me literally about a half an hour really to read his whole resume, which he wrote himself, by the way. I just want to let you know. It would take me about a half an hour to read it. I'm not going to, because we have a very short program and we want to move it along. But needless to say, him and Goldie came into a town. There was not much going on over here. We all know Hallandale 40 years ago was a place where you came to retire and then you retired. I mean, a lot of people retired. And this is where they came into, this young couple, but they brought a tremendous amount of energy. They moved to Hallandale, bought a shopping center, and from that shopping center, the organization grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And it's a miracle, literally a miracle. And today, if you want to know what goes on in Chabad of South Broward, just go to their website and it goes pages after pages after pages of things that they do, from a shul and a mikveh for the disadvantaged, and and what Levi does, and Mendy and Morty and Yossi and the whole crew and Moshe, and it's incredible. And from that center, it grew to 20 other centers in South Broward, from Rabbi Andruzzi and Rabbi Kudan and all over the place. Rabbi Korf is actually jealous of him. Let me tell you, to be honest with you, he is one of a kind, and he couldn't have done it without his dear wife Goldie. They are a team, one and one for all and all for one. and it's just my honor and my pleasure to present to you this evening the director of Chabad of South Broward, the Rabbi of Congregation Levi Yitzchak, a dear, dear friend of mine, Rabbi Raphael Tenenhaus. Please take it away, sir.
Thank you, Rabbi Perlmutter. Thank you for all those who spoke until now. It's an evening that is billed as an evening of entertainment and inspiration. And this will continue throughout the evening. And I want to thank everyone who has joined and everyone who will join to the 39th annual dinner of Congregation Levi Yitzchak Lubavitch and Chabad of South Broward headquarters. We were zoicher, we had the schus to receive every year a letter from the Rebbe, including the final letter that the Rebbe signed on the 27th of Adar 1, 5752, after the Rebbe went to the mikveh, before he went to the oil. There was one letter on the Rebbe's desk, and we received that letter. And as Rabbi Perlmutter said, there's a reason how we got these letters, but it's going to be for another Farbrengen and for another time. Everybody should say L'chaim. Let me say L'chaim, and this evening should meet with great success. What got me going when the pandemic struck and we realized what was going on was back in 1992 during Hurricane Andrew, when the Rebbe, even though it was after the stroke, told us not to leave Hallandale. It dawned upon me, and even though who are we to understand the Rebbe's prophecy and the Rebbe's knowledge and the Rebbe's wisdom and foresight, but it dawned upon me that there was always going to be elderly people, frail people, who didn't have money, who couldn't run away from that hurricane. And they needed a contact. They needed someone to go to for help. And this is what happened then, back in 1992, when Hurricane Andrew came, and we became a lead organization providing social services for those who stayed behind. And as soon as the pandemic struck, it dawned upon me that there are people, and we were getting phone calls one after another from people who couldn't visit their parents, people who had no children, Holocaust survivors. You'll hear more about it in the evening. And immediately we took the front line. We garnered and gathered a group of volunteers plus staff members, and we started to deliver food, to help people with medicine, to help people with other major issues that they needed. And our office did not close for one day. We appreciate all the help we have received until now. We appreciate some funding, generous funding that we received from the Jewish Federation of Broward County. We appreciate the work and the relationship we have with Jewish Family Services for the last 40 years. We are the go-to call for them. Whenever they need something in South Broward, they call us and we respond, and we call them, and we have a tremendous relationship with Jewish Family Services, which continues to grow, as does our relationship with the Jewish Federation. In the 1980s, for one decade, I served on the education committee of the Jewish Federation, and our relationship is very long and very deep and very strong, and it keeps growing. But during this pandemic, many people have stepped up to the plate. We helped an enormous amount of people before Pesach with food and with other basic needs, as well as with money. And we are going to do even more for the month of Tishrei. The Rebbe spoke that he was surprised why there was only a Pesach fund, Mois Chitim, and why over the years, I believe 42 years ago, the Rebbe spoke back in 1978 of the need in the month of Tishrei to help people with food and other expenses that could be more expensive than the actual holiday of Pesach. There's so many holidays in the month of Tishrei. So for the last few years, we've been helping people with money and with food for Tishrei. And tonight's dinner, we have a goal to raise $80,000. Last year, we gave out $40,000 before Tishrei, and we're trying to put together $80,000 tonight in order to help the needy for Tishrei and to help them in a dignified manner in which they are not embarrassed. And some of the people we are helping are people who used to give us tzedakah. This is the reality of today's times. I thank Hashem that He has enabled us to be on the giving end. And we ask each and every one of you, if you're able to, now is the time to connect with helping people. Like the Rambam says, If you don't help people for Yontif, your Yontif is not a Yontif. We recently learned this in the study of the Rambam, and we are implementing this with Hashem's help and with the Rebbe's bracha. And I really ask every one of you on the chat, there's a link. Please help out so that we could reach our goal tonight of $80,000 to help the neediest in our community for the month of Tishrei and for all the Jewish holidays, that they should have all the holidays celebrated in a most dignified and refined and joyous way. Without further ado, we're going to start with the entertainment of the evening. Last year, Benny Friedman, Jewish music superstar, and certainly one of the greatest singers in the world, joined us on a yacht with 340 people. It was a tremendous dinner. We paid off one of our mortgages for the mikvahs, for the physically challenged at that dinner. It was a rock and roll evening, as will be tonight. But I'd like to share with you that Benny is a great friend of Chabad South Broward. He's performed many times at our Hanukkah festival in Gulfstream, which I must say, the Hanukkah festival will go on this year. It will be with cars at Gulfstream. We are working with Gulfstream at this time, but there will be, I believe they're going to give us about 1,000 cars to park at the largest parking lot in Gulfstream, and the Hanukkah festival will go on. Benny has performed at Gulfstream, and even when he was a student at the yeshiva, Benny performed at Young Circle, for those who remember the Hanukkah festivals at Young Circle. Without any further introduction, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor and privilege to introduce to you the beautiful voice and the beautiful chayas and the beautiful chen of Benny Friedman.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Thank you very much. I don't have my band with me here this evening, but we're here with all of you, so it will be very beautiful because we're all going to sing along together. We'll do some Yom Tov songs, and we will just get started right away. Here we go. Oy chilo lokei lachalefonov shalom imenu manei lo shoim oy chilo lokei lachalefonov oy oy shalom mimenu manei lo shoim asher bikalo moshi rozoi abioreno no biad me for love. Sing along. Leo Mar Chaylev Umei Hashem Oimane Lo Shoin Hashem Sifosai Tiftoch Ufi Agid Tehilo Secho Hoy Leo Memar Chaylev Umei Hashem Hoy Mane Lo Shoin Hashem Sifosai Tiftoch Ufi Agid Tehilo Secho Please, everybody, sing along with us. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Vaneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Vaneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim. Asei Monu, Tzedaka v'chesed. Asei Monu, Tzedaka v'chesed, v'hoishieinu. Tzedaka v'chesed, asei imonu tzedaka v'chesed, L'chaim, l'chaim.
He'll be back.
I'll be back.
Benny is going to be back. Don't leave, ladies and gentlemen. This was only a Vorspeise. This was only an appetizer. He's holding back the good stuff for later. But we want to see those credit cards. You want Benny to sing? Pay up, baby. Pay up. Or else Benny's going to sing the blues if you don't pay.
L'chaim. Thank you, Benny. L'chaim. And everyone here should be blessed with a healthy, happy, and sweet New Year. L'chaim. One of the highlights, and perhaps the highlight of this evening, is our honoree who is receiving the Eishes Chayil Award. As Chabad of South Broward took the front line and center of being a tremendous tier 1 critical care provider during the beginning of the pandemic and throughout the last 6 months, there were other people who held the front line. And this particular woman, Eishes Chayil, is a nurse in Memorial Regional Hospital, where most of my children were born, and many of my Einiklach were born, and where I was on call for 15 years, the first 15 years of Shlichus. Memorial Hospital would call me when the Federation chaplain would be away. They would call me at all hours of the night to visit patients. And this individual literally put her life on the line to work on the COVID-19 floor. She helped hundreds of people and she saved many lives. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a large round of applause, if you can, from your homes and from your chairs and from your living rooms to the 2020 Eishes Chayil Woman of Valor, to Mrs. Rivka Lazarson.
Thank you, Chabad of South Broward, for honoring me with the Eishes Chayil Award. My name is Rivka Lazarson. I'm a mother to 3 beautiful children and wife to a loving husband. I'm currently a ICU nurse in Memorial Regional Hospital in South Florida, where it is my passion to help those in critical care. Being a ICU nurse, we're always prepared for harsh situations and scenarios. However, once COVID hit, things changed. Memorial Regional, the hospital I work at, was incredible at adapting to the situation unfolding. The hospital left no stone unturned in the care for their patients, as well as helping the families of the patients stay connected. The peak in South Florida was around Pesach time, with the hospital adapting to the increase in patients and bringing in extra help. Many nurses decided that while it may be dangerous and that it may put our families and ourselves at risk, it was important to step up and work overtime in order to make sure that our patients received the care they deserved. Many of my friends and coworkers in the ICU worked countless 12-hour shifts to keep things running as normally as possible during these trying times. The award may be for me, but it's my floor and every single nurse, doctor, and healthcare worker who stepped up to the plate during the worst of times. They're the ones who deserve this award. I don't accept this award for myself. Rather, I accept it on behalf of the hundreds of healthcare workers on the front line who make a difference. The Torah reminds us daily that saving his life is like saving the world, and you can bet the healthcare heroes that are still doing that. My husband, who loves Chabad of South Broward, and Rabbi Tenenhouse, is constantly reminding me that Chabad of South Broward was on the front lines helping families struggling with the pandemic. They help families and many seniors navigate through some of the most trying times in our history. Thank you for this award and its appreciation of all the healthcare workers who worked tirelessly these past 6 months. I pray for a speedy end to the virus, healing for those sick and also those affected, for those who no longer have work and for those who are now looking again. For all the families who have lost someone, may you find comfort and may we see the times when we will all be reunited with our loved ones.
Chabad of South Broward headquarters has served as a Tier 1 critical care COVID-19 relief agency in South Florida, helping thousands with food, money, therapy, rent, computer assistance, and focusing on seniors and Holocaust survivors. Our doors have been open since day 1 of the pandemic, and they have never closed. Now, we are raising money for the Jewish holidays so that hundreds of needy families will celebrate the new year with joy and dignity.
Rabbi Tenenhouse.
I believe Rabbi Perlmutter is going to make the next introduction. Am I correct, Rabbi Perlmutter?
I thought we were going to...
Right.
No, you're doing it. Can't hear you.
I'm taking another l'chaim. The individual, first let me say l'chaim to everyone, l'chaim. The individual who has spearheaded our campaign for helping the neediest and the elderly and the Holocaust survivors and those who needed to navigate through their computers and other vital matters, the individual who's there every day of the week in the office, together with our secretary, Hannah, on the front line, even though many offices on Houndel Beach Boulevard were closed, our office stayed open from day 1, even on Sundays. And it's a big boulevard, and we have a lot of people who drop in looking for help, a lot of people who call us looking for help. This individual, Rabbi Moshe Schwartz, has been the administrator of Chabad of South Broward for 32 years. And I would like Rabbi Schwartz to share with all dinner participants what he has personally, a few examples of what he has personally done to help individuals whose first call to help is the Chabad of South Broward. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Rabbi Moshe Schwartz.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, Rabbi Tenenhaus. Yes, it's been quite the past few months, crazy times. We've always been there on the front lines to help people with food and other needs. But now with the COVID situation, what used to be many, many calls a month has now turned into hundreds of calls. And I'd just like to relate some of the stories and some of the incidences that we've had where we've been of assistance. We received a call a few weeks ago from a lady that identified herself as Sarah. And she said she was in her early 60s and she was hungry. She sounded very faint on the phone. And I went over to see her and to greet her. At that time, it turned out that it wasn't just food that she needed. She explained a very unusual situation. Her mother had passed away and she had been living with her mother the entire time. She was there taking care of her. But when her mother passed away, the Social Security ceased and her mother's little pension ceased. And now she shows me an eviction letter. She had no money. She had always just helped her mother. And now there she was about to be evicted. And all she could do is point to her little Toyota and said, Rabbi, I told you I need food. But if I would have told you the whole story, I don't think you would have ever come here. And then I realized that it's much more of an issue than helping people with food. We have wonderful food pantries in the area, but with Chabad, we're truly a supermarket, so to speak, of all types of services, because what turned out to be a lady identifying herself as Sarah who needed food ended up being a person that had nowhere to go. And nobody would even speak to her because of the COVID situation. So it really was quite an incident under the pandemic. And we literally took her from house to house until we finally found her a place that was affordable, a small little room in the back of someone's house that we were able to secure and guarantee it was a safe neighborhood for just $400 a month until we were able to get her on a Section 8 waiting list and so forth. So you see from here, very often when we hear about the needs of food and so forth, it turns out to be much more than that, as in this particular case. Another incident that I'd like to relate to you is we had a call of a Holocaust survivor. She had my number and she fell in the middle of the night. And 3 o'clock in the morning, she called me. And I was like saying, like, you know, I'm not the ambulance. I want to make sure that you can get the proper care that you need. No, I'm not calling the ambulance. If I call the ambulance, then I need to go to the hospital, and I'm not going to walk out of the hospital in this COVID epidemic. I will not call the ambulance. So I went over there. Fortunately, I brought one of my sons. The two of us were able to lift her up comfortably and put her back into a chair. And here you see that she knew to call Chabad. She knew to call Chabad rabbi when she was afraid to get involved and to get herself in a position of being stuck in a hospital with all the horror stories. People were confused, panic-stricken. They didn't know what to do. But this lady knew one thing. I have to get off the floor, and it's not going to be an ambulance, but it's going to be Chabad of South Broward. And these are the types of things that we constantly do. And I'll just conclude with one other short story. We have a very special program. It's called the Wellness Check Program. Anybody could simply get onto this program. We call people regularly to make sure they're well. And like Rabbi Tenenhaus mentioned earlier, that many, many people are in a position where they don't have connection to their children. And sometimes the only connection they have is that the children call us to check on their parents. And so I made a wellness call. And sure enough, when I called this gentleman, Chaim, I said, Chaim, how are you? And all he was doing was mumbling. He couldn't speak, and he never spoke that way before. Chaim, what's going on? Finally, I knew where he lived. I rushed over to his apartment house. And as I'm pulling up to the front lobby area, Chaim is getting out of an Uber. He had just come from a doctor, and he suffered a stroke in the Uber. And I sat him down right away. We called the ambulance. And thank God we got him to the hospital on time and we were able to save him. So you see, there's many, many different aspects of what we offer. The supermarket, the warehouse, we have everything here. And that is why under such circumstances where everybody was locking themselves in their homes under these circumstances, we were there and kept our doors open. So I really want to thank everyone. It's part of our community because we could not do it without you. And we really appreciate your continued support because that really lets us be on the front lines and have the manpower and the staff. Of course, I'm just sharing some of the personal stories that I have experienced, but all of our staff is involved 24/7 with these types of incidents, especially now in this time of the pandemic. So we really thank all of our supporters, all the participants of the dinner tonight, and may Hashem bless everyone and Ksiva Chsima Tova.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Schwartz. Rabbi Schwartz, for those who don't know, is an integral part of Chabad of South Broward, Rabbi Tenenhouse's right hand. Rabbi Schwartz, you should be blessed with a wonderful, healthy, successful year for you and your children and your grandchildren. But ladies and gentlemen, we want to move on with the program. We are about to experience another wonderful, wonderful segment from our most illustrious guest here this evening, Benny. But before I'm going to allow Benny to take over the floor, I've been getting literally tons of emails asking me to interview him a little bit. I mean, people have been texting in questions and they want to know something about Benny. So Benny, is it okay if I just ask you a few questions, Benny?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, people are writing in. I got from Omaha. I have from Helsinki, Finland, because you know, Benny, you're singing in front of the world tonight. You know, usually I know you're singing in front of your family with your 4 children or whatever, but tonight you're singing, you know. Benny, for those who don't know, is one of only about 3 or 4 people around the world known by one name. There's Madonna, Beyonce, LeBron, and Benny. So if you're thinking who we have here this evening, come on, that's why we're getting more questions are coming in here on the side. But let's get down to it. We don't have all evening. Benny, somebody wants to know, when was it the first time that you realized that you can actually make a good living by singing? Was it in the shower, like one day you just said, hey, I'm pretty good? Was it around that table with your father and the 13 unwanted children that he talks about, that everybody was trying to do a tune, but you were like singing above everybody else and they all sounded like chickens and you sounded like that proverbial, you got, when was it the first time, Benny, that it hit you, hey, I'm good, I'm really good?
I would have to say probably at Chabad of South Broward when I performed at the Hanukkah at the Hanukkah event when I was out there in Yeshiva. Yeah, round of applause, please. And just accidentally found myself on the stage, and right away afterwards, Rabbi Tenenhouse gave me a big check. That's when I realized, oh my goodness, can make so much money doing this. So
that was the first time.
That was it.
Oh,
straight to the stratosphere.
Absolutely. That's great. It's good to know. It's good to know. Another somebody else writes into me, wants to know, Benny, you are so famous. What is it like walking down Kingston Avenue and just having to go incognito? Like what do? Do you like put on like a strimel, a shaitel? How do you manage to maneuver down Kingston Avenue being Benny Friedman?
So today it's not so difficult because today everybody's wearing a mask, so nobody knows who's who.
Oh.
But used to be, it was impossible.
It was tough, right?
Impossible. So I just walked down.
Because you can't hide behind Avremel Fried. He's too thin. You know, you can't hide behind Avremel.
Hide behind him. No.
You can't hide behind him. But that's what your thing is. If you wore a mask, that's one. No. The last question, because literally I could be here all night, but people are just writing and I can't ask him because you guys busy. Is, you know what? You spell your name Benny, which is kind of, you know, like, it's the 40s, baby. I mean, let's be honest, Benny, you know, like old. Have you ever thought of changing the spelling of your name to Ben-E, Ben E? Because that would help you with the, you know, the younger crowd, the urban crowd, the inner city island that you are trying to reach so desperately. So if you just change your name, have you ever thought about it? And someone says he's willing to help you. His name, I can't say his name because he's too famous. He's a producer in Hollywood, but I'm not going to mention him, Spielberg, but I'm not going to say his name. but he wants to know if you ever thought about changing your name to Ben E.
I haven't thought about it, but now that you mention it, I can't believe that I ever made this mistake
Okay,
of
so I'm going to give
spelling
you
my
his
name.
number, 1-800, no. Okay, we'll talk later. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. The rest of the questions we're just going to have to put away. We are here. We want to hear Benny again. He is a superstar. He is great. He's a tremendous friend of ours. And most of all, he's a Yid with a big heart. And he knows that, you know, that a meaningful life is not only what you take, but it's what you give. And everybody knows his father, Rabbi Manis Friedman, is, you know, is one of the superstars of Lubavitch. So Benny has grown up in that kind of atmosphere. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, our dear friend, Benny, take it away, sir.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Perlmutter. You mentioned that I'm a superstar, but I just need to add one word, important word, international superstar. International superstar, yes, very much so. So in that spirit, for Chaim. Second of all, with your permission, I would like to sing with you a song that's a little bit English, a little bit Russian, a little bit Hebrew. Just picture, if you will, that accompanying me is the whole Russian Army Band, Red Army Band, whatever it's called. Because that's really how the song is meant to be performed. Tonight we're doing it just you and me, but use your imagination. Okay, here we go. Song is called Charasho. Charasho means very good. Slava Bogu Charasho. Thank God, very good. That's what the song, the title. And it goes something like this. I see the sun come up this morning. I hear my children laughing as they play. The trees start singing without warning. It's gonna be a wonderful day. You know, I got no patience for complaining, to stop and kvetch about all the bills I have to pay. 'Cause even when it should be sunshine but it's raining, my feet will dance me to the kretschma anyway. So manishma, kagdila. The blessings, they're coming, but you keep on running. Just stop and sing. Раз, два, три. Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. Life is good, life is great. It's a chance to celebrate. Хорошо, хорошо. It's a party, it's a ball, and ain't nothing gonna get me down at all. Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. Life is good, life is great. Off till Ochis all the hate. Хорошо, хорошо. It's a party, it's a ball, and these three little words, they say it all. Хорошо. Ya ba 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 bum bum bum, хорошо. Та-да-да-да-ди-да-да-да-дам. Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. Слава Богу, хорошо. Та-да-да-па-пи-ди-ди-па-да-па-я-ба-ба-бам. Па-ди-ди-па-да-да-да-ди-да-да-да-дам. Па-да-да-па-пи-ди-di-pa-da-pa-ya-ba-ba-bam. Pa-da-di-da-da-da-da-da-di-da-dam. So if it happens that you're starting to feel dreary, or if your pot of borscht has gotten burnt, before you go and start to get all sad and teary, there's a very special lesson to be learned. Because not only when the sun is out and shining, or when you're seeing everything you try to do, the master plan is more than just a silver lining. It's a golden world created just for you. Musmachtayid. So how are the kids? We hope for the day when the whole world will stand up and say, Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. From the bottom of my heart, from the finish to the start. Хорошо, хорошо. Life is holy, life is pure, and every note I sing it to you, I'm singing for. Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. For the blessings in my life, for my Isha's Chayil life. Хорошо, хорошо. Every hour, every day, every breath I take, I use only to say, хорошо. Ya ba 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 bum bum bum, хорошо. Ba-da-bi-ba-ba-ba-bum-bum-bum. Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. Слава Богу, хорошо. Everybody sing along now. Хорошо, Хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо, 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 хорошо, хорошо. Раз, два, три. Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. Здесь друзья и семья. Время праздновать пришло. Хорошо, хорошо. Жить любит, смеется, пьет. И не просто жить-то очень хорошо. Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. Здесь друзья и семья. Время праздновать пришло. Хорошо, хорошо. Жить любит, смеется, пьет. И не просто жить-то очень хорошо. 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 Хорошо, хорошо, слава Богу, хорошо. Слава Богу, хорошо. Hey, l'chaim, l'chaim. Ya mama ya ma la da ma ya da ay la da ma ya ay la da ma oh la da mo yo ay la da mo yo da ay la da mo yo ay la da mo yo Ovinu Malikeinu Ein lo anu melech Ein lo anu melech lo oto Ovinu Malikeinu And now, with your permission, I would like to sing one more song. I know we're approaching Rosh Hashanah, but after Rosh Hashanah comes Yom Kippur, and after Yom Kippur comes Sukkot, and after Sukkot comes the highlight of it all, Simchas Torah. And this niggin is called Reb Leivik's Akofa niggin. This was a favorite niggin of the Rebbe's father, Reb Levi Yitzchak, and it goes like this. Hey la da 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 hey ya da 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 hey la da 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 hey ya da 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 ma ya ma da down ay ya da down da da la la lam da 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 ya ma ya da down da 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 ma ya da down da 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 ma da la dam da da ya la dam da ma ya dam da 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 la dam da 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 dam hoy la dam da 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 dam hey la da 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 hey ya da 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 dam da 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 hey ya da 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 dam
Benny, I'm telling you, Benny, with a little practice, you can make it. A little practice and you could go a long way. I'm telling you, man, you have potential. Don't give it up. I know there's a lot of people who say, but don't give it up. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Benny. Man, Benny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I told you we went international. I'm telling you, you see, we thought we're only going to be local South Broward. I want to take this opportunity giving a shout out to a dear old friend of ours, of myself and Rabbi Tenenhaus, Dr. Yosef Minkiewicz in Toronto, Canada is tuning in. Yosef, I have a little pain here. Well, what can I do? I don't know what it is. Oh, drink. That's advice from his grandfather, Shlomo Simonovich. No problem. Give it a shot, baby. Give it a shot. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic evening. Everybody just put in so much work into this evening. It came out so beautiful and so, it's not over yet. We had a tremendous entertainment, an incredible honoree tonight. We heard from Rabbi Moshe Schwartz. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you, please, this organization needs your help. You see what they do, but they can't do it without you. Rabbi Tenenhaus and his staff work tirelessly, day and night to make sure and fill the needs of the people down the Jewish community down in South Broward. But again, please, so go to wherever Rabbi Morty put up over there in the screen and take out your credit card and make a nice sizable donation to Chabad of South Broward. This evening it's almost over. We're going to hear from one more person, and that person is none other than the executive director, which I'd mentioned before. Rabbi Raphael Tenenhaus is going to conclude this program. I want to take this opportunity in the name of everyone that worked so hard and thank you all for checking in here this evening and watching us and having the patience. This show can be, you can see it over and over and over again because it was recorded. It's on Facebook. So tell your friends about it. Share it. It doesn't cost any money. All you got to do is just push your Facebook button, share, and it keeps going. And we want this to go viral all over the world for the 6 people that did not see it yet tonight. So, all right, Rabbi Tenenhaus, are you ready to take it away and give us one final push and a conclusion and wrap it up? Take it away, my friend.
Thank you, Rabbi Perlmutter L'chaim. It's brought down in Hayom Yom that the birthday of a chassid is the first time the chassid saw the Rebbe. So the first time I remember seeing the Rebbe was Rosh Hashanah. It was Rosh Hashanah Tavshin Chav Daled, Rosh Hashanah 1963. My father took me and my late brother, Rabbi Yisrael, to the Rebbe for Rosh Hashanah, and we had some very interesting interaction with the Rebbe at Koshel Bracha, and I had the schus of meeting Rebbe Tzimchana, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok's Rebbetzin, and my father asked her for a bracha for me and my brother, and the Rebbetzin gave us Birchas Koyanim. Benny is a Koyan. The Rebbetzin actually gave us the whole Yivarechacha on Eastern Parkway as she would stand outside of 770 after davening. So the last song that Benny sang was Reb Levi Snigin, and we have the schus that the Rebbe gave us the honor of naming our shul after the Rebbe's father, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak. So I remember very vividly a Farbrengen before I went out on Shlichus, where the Rebbe spoke about what a person does when he comes into a town, a new shliach. And the Rebbe said that a shliach comes to town, he should never compete with anything that exists in the city before he comes to town. What a shliach has to do when he comes to town is he has to say what's missing, what's lacking in the community, what's needed. I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and I'm sure there's those who could locate that Farbrengen, but I remember being at that Farbrengen, and the Rebbe said that's the way you have to go on shlichus, that when you go on into a town, into a community, don't let anyone feel that you're stepping on their toes, that you're infringing on their territory, or that you're trying to compete. We're not into competition with anyone. Our job is to see what's missing. And that's why back in 1990, when the local day school was about to go under, Rabbi Korf got involved at my request to save the only day school in the city of Hollywood. And we took all the people to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe gave them a big yasher koyach. And that's what our job is. Our job is to see what's needed and do what's needed. And that's what happened here. That's what's been going on in the 6 months of COVID-19. We have been front and center of helping people who literally needed money for Shabbos, who needed money for therapy. We find that more and more couples need sessions in therapy because of shalom bayis issues, thanks to being cooped up in the COVID situation. And of course, the elderly and the Holocaust survivors. So this is what we have to do. If there's a need, if there's a void, fill that void. And this has been my guiding light throughout our 40 years of shlichus that is coming to a conclusion. And this is what I'm asking everyone tonight, that if Hashem has gifted you with the ability to help others celebrate Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchas Torah with pride and with dignity, and to make sure that whoever needs whatever is necessary to make a beautiful Yontif and a beautiful Tishrei, please go onto the chat here, press the numbers, press the link, put down your credit card. There's no question that whatever you're going to give tonight to celebrate this evening is going to go a long way. We're an office that never closes. We're on the boulevard. We have drop-ins every day. Our phone number is not just a number that you get a machine. There's a secretary in the office all day, and we're real. We're like an organization back in the 60s, where you're not dealing with computers all the time. You're dealing with human people who open the door, take in those who are the neediest, and respond to what they need. And that's really what the Rebbe said at one of the Farbrengens before I went out on Shlichus. When you go somewhere, see what's needed, see what's missing, and fill that void, and no one will think you're stepping on their toes. To the contrary, whoever was there in town before you, and Baruch Hashem, my wife and I, Goldie and I, have had the opportunity to be the first shluchim in Broward County, and now there's 22 Chabad houses in South Broward, and there's only over 25 shluchim couples, and there's over 50 agencies and institutions in South Broward. But the key is see what's needed, see where there's a void, see where nobody is doing something, and fill it, do it. And that's what we did from day one of the pandemic. And I want to thank Hashem Yisbarach for giving me the ability to helping as many people as I could, together with my tremendous staff, and many of them you heard from tonight. Others you didn't hear from, but we are gifted with a great team. We are gifted with a great organization, and we are gifted with great volunteers who also step up to the plate to help us enormously. And that's what our mission is. We were never in the business of building big buildings. We were never in the business of having fancy chandeliers. Our job is help another Yid. And that's what it's all about. Before we come to Rosh Hashanah, our job, before we coronate the king as the King of Kings on Rosh Hashanah, Our job in the month of Elul, when Melech is Basada, is to tell the Rebbeinu Shalom, we are doing what we can to help the neediest in our community. You, Hashem, please do what you can to help the neediest, to help those who are sick, who need a refuah shalema, to help those who have lost loved ones to be comforted and to be consoled, and to help people with good parnasa, and that their parnasa should go on good and healthy matters, and that each and every single Jew in our community and each and every single Jew around the world should merit a ksivach simatova, to be inscribed for a healthy, happy, and sweet new year, l'shana tova u'masuka, to have a sweet year, not only good, but revealed good, which is a sweet year. And as the Rebbe mentioned in Tinose, in the year 57-51, the Rebbe mentioned that Pei Aleph, the year that we're coming up to, Tovshin Pei Aleph, stands for Plois Arenu. I, Hashem, will show you wonders. May it indeed be a year where Hashem will show us wonders. And even before we get to Rosh Hashanah, we should see these wonders, and we should be zoicher, we should merit to have the revelation of Mashiach Tzidkenu before Rosh Hashanah, so that we could celebrate Rosh Hashanah in Yerushalayim with Mashiach Tzidkenu right now. L'chaim, everyone, and thank you for helping us with our noble mission of helping the neediest in our community. L'chaim, a good yontif and a good yor to everyone.